Hi everyone, this is Himanshu, and in this lecture we will study more about the current affairs of 2019 and 20 regarding the defense technology. So I have already noted down the few points that you need to remember. So I won't deep dive in each and every one of them because actually they are not asking much question from the defense section, but still these are the few terms that you should remember. For example, like the first one is basically the POSEIDON. Now the POSEIDON is actually the anti-submarine warfare aircraft, and we got it from the USA. India is actually planning. We haven't got it yet, but we are planning to have it. So it will boost the maritime capabilities in the ISR section. ISR means the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance in each and every one of them. So this is mainly about the POSEIDON. The next one is the Department of the Military Affairs is created by the amendment of the allocation of the business rules. So this is what they have done recently, and it will comes under the mandate of the IAF, the Territorial Air Army, Ministry of Defense, etc., etc., etc. So this is mainly about the Department of Military Affairs. The next one is basically the Information Fusion Center. Now the Information Fusion Center is basically conducted in the IOR region, that is the Indian Ocean region, and it is actually the real-time maritime information sharing hub for the IOR. So if we have a wide shipping agreement with any country, then this would help them a lot. And if you ask me what is a wide shipping agreement, so generally what happens, we have few regions in the IOR. For example, like this is an IOR region. Now if this are the few basic locations where we collect the most of the information about the ocean. So it can be navigational information, it can be information regarding a weather, or it can be regarding any news basically. So what generally happens, all the data will be shared from those countries which need it. So when we have an agreement with any country regarding the sharing of an information regarding our Indian Ocean region, this is called the wide shipping agreement, so that we can basically exchange the information, a medium of communication mostly. So this is what the wide shipping agreement means. So for that we have this thing, Information Fusion Center, IOR, and apart from that there is also a BOLD also. The BOLD is basically the Border Electronically Dominated QRT Interception Technique. QRT is basically the Quick Reaction Team. So basically along the border side, so we are just fencing out, putting more things in these areas. So this is mainly about that thing. And yes, this is mostly the news regarding such thing. Apart from that, there are many military exercises which has been conducted. These military exercises are basically, the joint exercise also, domestic exercises also. So I'll go through each and every one of them one by one. So first let's go with the domestic exercises. So Gagan Shakti is there. Gagan Shaktis are basically for the IAF only. The Tropics is for the Navy, IAF and the Army, all three of them. We have a CyberX. CyberX is for the cyber security, and and it includes the all three, means Navy, Indian Air Force and the Army. The Himvijay is also there. Kharga Pahar, Prahar, Mission Reach Out, and all these three are basically for the Army. But the most important one that I think is basically the INT-SpaceX. Now this was the first space warfare exercise which has been conducted by India. So this was pretty much in the news, so just remember this thing, that INT-SpaceX is a space warfare exercise. Apart from that, we also conduct some of the joint military exercises also. So the first of the one of them is basically the Milan. Now the Milan is basically the multilateral naval exercise, mostly done in the Indian Ocean region of the southeastern countries. So this is for the southeastern countries. Then we have a MILEX. Now the MILEX is basically done by the BIMSTEC region. We have a Malabar. The Malabar is basically trilateral naval exercise. So let's do one thing. In the first section, I will write if it's army, or if it's a military, then I will write as a M, or if it is a naval, I will write it as N. And then in the next section, then I will write the name of the country, right? So the Malabar is basically the naval exercise, and it has been conducted between the India, USA and Japan. Similarly, the Tiger Triumph. Now the Tiger Triumph is basically the tri-services. So all three tri-services exercise between the India and USA. Then we have a Vajra Prahar. Now Vajra Prahar is basically the joint military exercise, and it is between the India and US. Vajrapahar. There is a X-scope. Now X-scope is basically the Air Force, so A is for the Air Force, and it is for between the same India and the US. Then we have Ajaya Warrior. It is basically the joint military exercise between the India and UK. India, UK, right? We also have a Konkan. The Konkan is basically the Navy, N for Navy, and it is between the India and the UK itself. We have a nomadic elephant. Now the nomadic elephant is basically the military exercise that is conducted between the India and Mongolia. So this is mainly about this. The rest, we have an equivalent. Now equivalent is actually a military exercise which is conducted between the Indian Army and Maldives. We have a Sampriti. Now Sampriti is basically the military exercise that is between the India and Bangladesh. We have a Sundarban Maitri. Now it is a navy exercise between the India and the Bangladesh. Slinex, so it's Sundarban. Few of them, you can remember it through the name itself, that you can easily guess. If the name comes, just mark it. So Slinex means Sri Lanka is there, right? So Slinex is basically the navy exercise between the India and Sri Lanka. Then we have a Mitra Shakti. The Mitra Shakti is basically the army, so basically a military M, and it is between the India and Sri Lanka. We have Aussie Index. That is a naval exercise between the India and Australia. Similarly, we have Kakadu. Kakadu exercise is basically the naval exercise that is between the Australia-led multilateral. So India participated in that, so let me write it as Australia-led multilateral. We have a hand in hand. Now hand in hand was a joint military exercise that is between the India and China. So this is an important one, you should remember it. We have a Desert Eagle. The Desert Eagle is basically the Air Force between the India and UAE. Similarly, we have a Gulf Star. Gulf Star is a naval exercise, and similarly India and the UAE. We have a Prabal Dostyak. That is basically the joint training. That is a joint training between the India and Kazakhstan. We also have a Kazand. Now Kazand is similarly the joint military exercise, and it is between the India and Kazakhstan. We have a Khanjar. That is a joint training exercise. And Khanjar is basically between the India and I think it's Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. Okay, the next one is basically the Indra. Now Indra is a joint military exercise between the India and Russia. AVI Indra. AVI means aviation. Now for the Air Force between the India and the Russia. Then we have a Simbex. Simbex is for the Navy between the India and Singapore. Similarly, we have the BOLD-QIT. That is a joint military exercise between the India and Singapore. The next one is basically the Maitri. That is the the military exercise between the India and Thailand. Then you have a Winbacks. That is a military exercise between similarly the India and Thailand itself. We have a Korpat. Korpat is India and Thailand. I don't remember which one is it, basically military or something like that. You can just check it out. Then we have a Harimau Shakti. Now the Harimau Shakti was actually a training exercise, joint training, and it was between the India and Malaysia. India and Malaysia. So this is mainly few more like Samudra Shakti. Samudra Shakti was actually a naval one, and it is between the India and Malaysia. Next is a Garud Shakti, that is a military exercise and between the India and Indonesia. We have a IMBAX. IMBAX is a bilateral army exercise. Bilateral army exercise, so I'm writing as a military. And the IMBAX was, I think, it was India and Myanmar, right? India and Myanmar, yeah. Lametta is a navy exercise, and it is between the India and Seychelles. Varun is a navy exercise, and India and France. So India and France. Then we have Shakti. Shakti is a military exercise, and India and France. Then we have a Garud. Garud is basically the Air Force. India and France. Shenyu Maitri, that is an Air Force. So A for the Air Force, and it is India and Japan. Then we have a Dharam Guardian. Dharam Guardian is army again. Army. Oh, wait a second. Military. Yeah. India and Japan. Then we have FEN Dex. Now this is the army. That is a military and Indian and Africa. So this is mainly about the major exercise that we have conducted. So I think this is the major portion of the defense and technology, and in the next section we will study about the biotechnology part. So I'll catch you in the next lecture, guys. Thank you.